focused and I'm fasting, let's say for 24 hours, I have less focus. So I want people to consider that as well, because not everybody is the same. Ibi mentioned this as well, that his mind can get very cloudy when he is fasting, and he probably also needs some food as well. I'm the same way, but I also experienced with 24 hours, 48 hours fasts, and it's a good feeling. But for me to focus on content and on things like trading, I actually need some food at least to have a great focus. So most people just look on Instagram and they see you have to fast for being sharper, and that can be the case for many people, but not for everybody.
Yeah, bro. Like what Sadhguru would say, that a motorbike, a car, and a airplane all use different kinds of fuel so that they can be at their optimal. And as human beings, we are complex beings, and our bodies are very, very different. They're very different, and it's not a one size fits all. So you need to know through self-awareness and testing, what is it that works best for you and your body type, you know?
Indeed.
Because on the other hand, on my side, the more I fast, the more I get that mental clarity, you know. And I've had benefits from not eating certain things, not eating meats or milk products or all these other things, you know, and for me it works out. But for somebody else, a fully vegan diet is not going to work for them.
Of course, of course.
So you need to have that level of self-awareness. So for me, it's kind of weird where you have people who force other people to, hey, eat this way and you'll be healthy. You know, the best way to test, see what the healthy things are and see what's best for you on the long run. You know, there's some people who are fruitarians and they just eat fruits. And there's other people, if they were to try that, it wouldn't be good for their health as well. It could damage certain things, you know.
Exactly, 100%, 100%, mate.
So that goes to self-awareness. And I know that you're also big when it comes to self-development as well, but is there a possibility that one can do too much when it comes to self-development?
Of course, I experienced this myself. Like, for example, there's nothing wrong with pursuing knowledge of people that are succeeding, but I've had it so far to a place that when I was doing self-development, and then there was a day when I did less or not that much, that I was feeling worthless, and I was actually doing more self-sabotage to myself then than actually, and also the fact that if you do too much, especially from a mixture of things, that your mind will just be cluttered. And yeah, so it's like they say, yeah, you go to a party on the weekend to escape reality, but if you only focus on self-development, you also, in my opinion, escape reality, because can you really sit there by yourself and be happy even if you don't read a book? That's for me the main goal in life, to be happy with who I am and don't attach like this go 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 mentality, which I did in the past. So if I didn't had a couple of hours of self-development work, I felt worthless and I felt worthy of succeeding, which is bullshit in my opinion. So that's actually a big one that I only discovered a little bit later in my self-development journey, because I was that guy like, yeah, go party and you escape reality, but you can get self-development, the pursuit of self-development also so far that you're actually escaping reality, and you still have to feel, in my opinion, worthy of yourself and be happy with yourself at every time and every day. Even if you have a day where you do a bit less, you should still be happy with who you are, and not have this thing in your head that you're only happy with yourself and you're only worthy of success when you're always pursuing self-development and success.
Bro, I've never seen it that way, you know, but I think you've opened me up to a different way of thinking. That self-development, too much of a good thing might be a bad thing, and perhaps balance is more of something that is
Of course.
needed.
Yeah, of course.
We can use something positive as an escape, which is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Really, really deep, you know. So how specifically did you self-sabotage yourself by over self-development, would you say?
Yeah, so let's say, for example, the weekends for me were always go, go, go. But then let's say, for example, I had a family gathering with the whole family, and it was like a whole day of family stuff. And then I would self-sabotage myself in the night because I either did two things, or I just like stayed up till 2 a.m. to still do the self-development, and then the day after I feel garbage, or I will not do it, but then the morning after I will feel this guilt inside of myself that I didn't do things like I used to do. And then I actually the whole day wasn't happy with myself, and I would have this dark thoughts like let's for example, you're not worthy of success because you enjoyed yourself for one time. I translate this behavior back to in the start of my journey when I was losing all the weight. I could be very hard on myself. Like, so let's say, for example, that I eat a week or 2 weeks clean, and then I go, let's say, to a restaurant or something, and I eat fries with a burger. I would have this dark thoughts in my head, and I will just self-sabotage and then tell to myself that the day after I won't eat anything, which is actually the worst thing you can do if you're trying to lose weight. So things like that, and so you can see when Mark is saying everything is connected to everything else, I've noticed these patterns happening in my trading, with my diet, with my self-development. It all connects if you look back at it. And it's probably from somewhere in my childhood or in my teenage years where I developed this self-sabotaging behavior. But yeah, I've really learned to be much easier and calm on myself, especially because I really do know, especially on exercise and diet wise, I'm in the top 5% of the world that's so strict. So I shouldn't be so hard on myself if I have a night, if I go to a restaurant one night and I eat some fries or like an ice cream. I'm really happy that I made that shift in my mindset that I shouldn't be so hard on myself anymore.
Yeah, bro. That's a lot of wisdom in there. It's especially with what we do as traders, we might fall into the trap that the harder I work, the more results I'll start to see, the bigger my P&L will be, and so on
Indeed.
and so forth, where especially with what we do, that could be counterintuitive. It's
Mhm.
the opposite is true. You're not supposed to be doing so much work and thinking that the results would show. Maybe in other type of work, that's how it can be. The harder you study for maths and science, maybe the better marks you will get. And
Indeed.
balance is always something that is key as well. But
Mhm.
acceptance is something that I think you're also talking about there, whereby if you eat a burger, you need to accept that you've eaten that burger, and it becomes toxic for you to start thinking, oh man, I just had one burger this month, like
Yeah.
my diet is just, I can't do this thing anymore.
Yeah.
It's like when I was uh at a time where I was changing my diet, because I used to be a meat eater as well. And something that I heard, which was quite powerful, is, so maybe I didn't eat meat for that whole month. I'm trying to, become fully vegetarian at the time. And I would maybe have a day where I lapsed and I had a little bit of meat. But something powerful that I learned there is that it's not the fact that, oh man, now you ate meat after a month. It's the fact that, let's look at the last 29 days.
Indeed.
It's 29 to 1, so you are actually doing pretty good. You only failed once out of 29. You don't have to be perfect. And that made a switch in my mind, because if I didn't think that way, I would have given up and said, oh, which means I can't do this thing. But now I'm thinking, okay, it's just once out of 29. And I know that if I do it next time as well, it would be twice out of 60, or whatever it is that might be.
Yeah, and just like you're mentioning there, you can also translate it to trading. Let's say, for example, you had a very good Q1, with some nice profit trades, break-evens, a couple of losses, but not that it was damaging. The new quarter starts, your first 2 trades are losses, or your first 3, and you start having these thoughts that you lost it, and then you start into self-sabotaging yourself just in the same manner that you're forgetting actually that you had the last 3 months were very good, you performed very good, and you just because you have 3 losses, you forget it all. Yeah.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. It's like that. And that can really take somebody out of the flow zone. No matter how much work you're trying to do with your psychology, that can really take you out of your flow zone. Just the fact that you think of things in that way, you know. And for you, what are the things that you do to keep yourself in the flow zone? And where is your flow zone on a usual basis, would you say?
Yeah. I would say that's mostly around the 7 and the 8. Some occasions a 9, close to a 10, but very rarely it's below a 5 in my opinion. Because in my opinion, the best thing to get me in the flow, especially like when it's the early hours in the morning, is some type of movement mixed with going outside. That's for me, like especially when I feel a bit low in energy, I just go outside or for a run or a walk or some jump rope skipping in the air, even if it's 10 minutes, and my flow zone is like from a 4 or 5 to a 6 or an 8. Just for me, in my opinion, that's the most important thing. Doing some type of movement mixed with going outside.
Bro, that's such a simple regiment, you know, it doesn't involve a whole lot of stuff,
No.
having to do cold showers or this or that. Like, it's so clean and concise. I've never heard of anyone's that is like that, but I can't stop to think that this is because your diet and your routine already has a little bit of exercise. You're already eating very, very well, and because of that, you don't have to do that much to keep yourself in the flow zone, you know. So do you think
Indeed.
diet and exercise plays a big role outside of
Of
those things that you want to do just before?
100%, of course, because I even notice when I do have, let's say, there is a night where I have a cocktail or some ice cream or some sugary things. The day after, my flow zone is way less than it used to be. So, and especially also my sleep is very on point. I have a very strong night routine and morning routine. I have a very, I really prioritize my sleep, and that's also probably a huge big one because every morning that I wake up, I'm fully rest, even when it's 4 a.m. I think that's also me, but again, the good sleep is also probably a side effect of me exercising consistently and eating healthy consistently. Because I notice when I eat like ice cream, which rarely happens, but it sometimes does, and then I go to sleep, I have a bad night, a less sleep than I would have.
Wow, man. That's powerful, bro. We don't speak enough about how your body environment, your diet, and what you consume there actually programs your mind as well, and programs
Of course,
how you perform going forward, and gives
of
you the
course.
volition to actually do the work or not do the work. You know, somebody's sitting there, they're able to do an hour back test a day whilst they're learning. Somebody else is not able to do that, and they feel like they have to use a lot of willpower when it's not willpower, it's just food power more than anything.
Yeah,
Cancel certain
exactly.
things that you eat, you know, and add other things.
It's so powerful, mate. That's it's. I can't stress this enough. Maybe I don't think it's just me. I think everybody would have this effect if your diet is really on point. You make sure most of your food or all of your food, even better, is organic. You drink good filtered water. You prioritize your sleep and your exercise, and prioritizing your evening and morning routine. And then it's very unlikely to be in the bad flow, in my opinion.
100%, bro. And it comes from, I think most people never really search to find who they really are, because you need to search
Exactly.
as hard as possible to find who you really are so that you
Mhm.
can understand certain things about your body, about how you think, and so on.
Mhm. Yeah, that's what I mentioned before when I was in the self-development trap, that you feel worthy without it. So you're actually putting your image with someone who is always searching for becoming better. But where do you put the line? It's like Mark says, yeah, you don't have to be the finished article to start scaling up, which I 100% agree with, because there will always be little technical tweaks, just like Mark found AFT after being 15 years in the game. Just like I found little tweaks in my diet and my exercise after 9 years of consistently doing it. There's always room for improvement, but you don't have to be this finished article and exercising and knowing nutrition and trading or whatever to have benefits from it.
Absolutely, bro. And I think that also goes to, if somebody's been in Rewired for 3, 6 months and somebody else who's been in it for 2.5 years, even if you're in it for 6 months, there's some results that you might still see. How is it that you have been using Rewired lately, and how long have you been in it?
So I actually bought Rewired the first day they mentioned it on the live webinar. I immediately bought it with the huge, I think it was only 300 pounds then. So now it's going up to 2000. So best investment in my life, in my opinion. And yeah, I would say I just did the 3-step process in the start. So I did all I just gone through it, then the second time with notes and doing the exercises, then the third time with reflecting on my notes. But then when the start of 2022 came, I had a goal to go through it each month. So I did that. I did the exercises each month again and again. And it's so ingrained in me now. Rewired. I still do the flashcards 2 times a day, every morning, every evening. I keep changing them up with things that I think like I need in that time of my life. So actually I also use them now to be not zoomed in. So I repeat to myself, like I give myself permission to be a type of person that isn't zoomed in. So every morning I repeat this to myself, and that's just so simple things like that can have such a big difference on your day-to-day mood. And it goes back to flow zone again as well. Like if you're affirming to yourself that you feel worthy of success, things like that, writing good affirmations, so key to being in a good flow and a good state of mind. So key.